Hello there. Today I finally got around to watching Elemental now that it's out on HD. It's a kids movie and an animation, so I found myself skipping it before, but after watching it, I wish I had given it a chance earlier. Elemental is an animated romance adventure that follows Ember, a living flame. She lives in a world where the people are made out of different elements and her family are immigrants in a new city. Ember plays out the life of the perfect daughter, trying desperately to take over her father's store and doing everything asked of her. Everything is perfect aside from her anger management issues. One day, her father asks her to look after the store alone, and she ends up losing her temper and blowing a gasket, literally. It causes a leak in her basement, and a strange, weepy water guy comes spilling out onto her floor. Ember and Wade Ripple then set off on a fateful adventure to fix the leak. The story was written by 4 different writers: Peter Sohn, John Hoberg, Pat Lickle, and Brenda Sway. The film was directed by Peter Sohn and it stars Leah Lewis as Ember and Mamadou Achi as Wade. The film starts off by introducing us to Ember's parents and their struggles getting started in Element City. Then it brings in Ember and her struggles and starts us off on the adventure part. The story's main plot surrounds the leak and the danger it presents to Firetown, and then the film has several side stories that all intertwine. Ember's relationship with Wade, the tension between her and her father, and the internal conflict she feels between wanting to be the perfect daughter and following her dreams. The entire film serves as a great metaphor for immigrants moving to a new country and has a lot of humor related to that. There's also lots of great humor using the premise as a launching point, like how all the elements are named or how they move about the world, and there are tons of deep emotions throughout the film. It spends most of its time developing Ember and her struggles, but spends a little bit of time introducing us to Wade and his weepy family, as well as a few side characters. Wade and Ember's relationship is based on mutual respect and love, and although it plays out in a somewhat sappy and stereotypical manner, it is quite touching. The one gripe I had with the writing was how they failed to explain the interactions between the elements. Ember and the other fire people sometimes accidentally set the world and the other elements on fire. They can boil away the water people and burn up the gas and plant people. The film attempts to establish early on that this is a fact of the matter, but then throws that away later on. It doesn't do a good job of explaining it when it does, and when we end up in a world where fire and water can touch and live in harmony, it doesn't make sense. But it is an exciting and emotional story. Ember, played by Leah Lewis, is a hardworking person with a short fuse and a lot of internalized feelings. She does her best to be the image of a perfect person, but often finds herself blowing up at people who don't meet her expectations. She appears to be happy, but when she's forced out of her comfort zone and has to experience the greater world for once, she finds herself questioning her life. Lewis plays the emotions wonderfully, does well with the humor, and has great chemistry with the other actors. Wade, played by Mamadou Achi, is a stereotypical weenie character. He follows the rules, he gets overly emotional about everything, but he always tries to help people even if he can't do much. His efforts aren't always well thought through, but he always means well. He gets a few good speeches in the film and one killer emotional moment at the end, which he knocks out of the park. The general cast does a great job with the humor, but doesn't do much more than support the story. Visually, the film is exciting and the animation is wonderful to look at. Each character gets a realistic, fluid animation to their design. Fire people are made of moving flames that have little puffs of smoke trailing after them, and the water people are like water coolers with bubbles and the different things they absorb floating around inside of them. Each race is unique and comes complete with its own set of visual jokes and humor. The city they run around in is animated in a hyper-realistic style, and the action sequences that take place are highly creative chases and escapes. There are lots of awe-inspiring moments in the film, like when they travel underwater to see an aquatic tree, and the journey makes sense from start to finish. They also do a great job of capturing the emotions of the story and displaying them on the characters' faces and through their body language. Sound-wise, the film is filled with original pop music that's been carefully selected and mixed into the film. The tracks come in at the perfect times and fill out the background in a highly entertaining way. They work beautifully with the emotions of the story, turning each action sequence into a highly exciting event, each sad scene into a heartbreaking moment, and each sappy love scene into a tearjerker. It stands out throughout the entire film for how well it accompanies the story. Overall, Elemental is a great film with a somewhat sappy story. It has lots of big emotions, some great little action moments, 2 highly likable characters that you want to root for, and a lot of good lessons. It does miss the mark explaining everything, and it isn't trying anything all that new, but it does a fantastic job of telling the story it has, and its story is a highly emotional romantic affair. As for a rating, I'd give this film an 8 out of 10, and remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Bye bye!